Courtroom number 3. Court will now reconvene. I assume both sides are ready. Yes, Your Honor. Yes, Your Honor. Can understand the defense acting like this. However, why do you also seem distraught, Mr. Edgeworth? That is... It's nothing, Your Honor. What's wrong with Edgeworth? It looks like something unexpected just happened to him. Now then, Mr. Edgeworth, if you could please tell the court the results of the handwriting analysis on Mrs. Impact's suicide note. Yes, Your Honor. Unfortunately, we have discovered that this suicide note is a forgery. What? What do you mean, Mr. Edgeworth? This note was not written by Miss Impacts herself. It is a fake. Order. Mr. Edgeworth, would you care to explain what is going on? If this were not written by Miss Impacts, then who wrote it? We would need more time to do a more detailed analysis. However, it appears that the handwriting matches that of the victim, Mr. Juan Corrida. Mr. Corrida? Well, well. It looks like Miss Impacts never left a suicide note after all. She never wrote anything about On Guard. However, Your Honor, even though this suicide note is indeed a fake, Mr. On Guard could not have known that, and so facts remain unchanged. Acting under the assumption that it was real, he had plotted to possess it. That does sound very plausible. This theory that On Guard had no idea that the suicide note was fake. Something seems a little wrong with it. Evidence, sir? Sure, why not? The defense believes that the theory the prosecution has stated contradicts testimony. If everything the prosecution has proven up until this point is true, then it's impossible for Mr. On Guard to have not known it was a fake. Because he was being surveilled all the time. Where the fuck's the camera? There it is! What's this little item called again? A video camera, Your Honor? A small one, but... Oh, that's right. A camera. You kids and your fancy toys nowadays. Mr. Edgeworth, earlier you claimed that Mr. On Guard knew of the existence of this note. Because he was spying on the victim. Isn't that correct? If that were true, then this means Mr. On Guard would have known that the victim had forged the note. So then, the defense knew the suicide note was a fake. And if that's true, then the situation has suddenly changed in a very dramatic way. Exactly, Your Honor. The prosecution's theory as to what Mr. On Guard's motive for murder was, it suddenly disappeared into thin air. But, Your Honor, it's not as if Mr. On Guard monitored Mr. Corrida 24 hours a day. Perhaps the victim wrote that note in a place Mr. On Guard didn't know of. Well, right back at you, Edgy. Why don't you show us some proof the victim made the forgery at an unknown place? Order. Mr. Edgeworth, it looks like this time it is you who has dug his own grave. As I figured. Huh? As you figured. As I figured. It came down to this after all. Mr. Edgeworth, you are not making any sense. When I heard the results of the handwriting analysis, I thought this might happen. The question is, what next? What next? If the prosecution can't prove Mr. On Guard's motive through the evidence, then we must prove it from another angle. I agree with you there, Your Honor. The prosecution would like to call a witness to the stand this time. Well, that's fine. However, this one's a little unusual. Edgeworth stuttering? It's not like him at all. We've had a parrot on the stand before, I think, so like... What's it matter for weirdness? Well, what sort of witness is this person, Mr. Edgeworth? This witness is one who is perfectly fit to answer once and for all the question of who was it that hired Shelley the killer to commit murder. That's impossible. Who? No such person exists who can answer that question with such certainty. Yes, Mr. Edgeworth, who is this witness? It is... Go on, who is it? The man himself, Mr. Shelley the Killer. Oh, Mr. the Killer. Wait, Shelley the Killer? You mean the killer? Or the assassin? Yes, Your Honor. He's coming here, to the witness stand. Well, in a manner of speaking. I recognize that this is a very unusual circumstance, so I ask for your permission. Well, Mr. Rat. Yeah? Is this alright with you? Do I have a choice? I can't really do much else. The defense has no objections, Your Honor. I wonder if it really is alright to do this. Very well then. The prosecution calls its witness to the stand. Edgeworth, is there no other way left to us? Now then, witness. Your name and occupation, please. Very good, sir. My name is Shelley the Killer, and I am a professional assassin. I say, what's going on here? Your Honor, how can you remain so calm, and what is the meaning of this two-way radio? Actually, Your Honor, it was delivered to me just now, and it came with a condition. As long as we do not trace its source, Mr. the Killer will testify to this court. So this must be with that urgent phone call he got. Oh, this will not do. I cannot allow this in my court. First of all, we can't even be sure this really is Mr. the Killer himself. Witness, please present some sort of proof you are in fact Shelley the Killer. I understand. Please wait a second. I'm so hungry. Maya. A voice. Mr. Wright, can you confirm anything from this? The defense has no objections to this person. We are satisfied that this man is indeed Shelley the Killer. It looks like we've run into yet another unexpected turn of events. Doesn't seem like we have too many choices under these circumstances, so... Now then, witness. There is one thing I would like to confirm before we speak of anything else. And what would that be? At the request of a client, you killed Mr. Juan Corrida, is this correct? It is as you say, I did indeed kill Mr. Corrida. Gulp. Now that we have answered that, let's move on to the name of your client. Very well. This is all just a bad dream. Yeah, that's it, a bad dream. Shelley the Killer. What's he going to say? There is something I must first state. To an assassin, nothing is more important than the trust between a client and himself. And that is the reason I am here today on this witness stand. It is my wish that you grasp this concept before I give the name of my client. Mr. the Killer seems to be a very clever man. I'd almost say he seems to be mocking us. While he may appear to be our enemy, Your Honor, Mr. the Killer is only stating the truth. He's no hypocrite, he's stood by this one belief. You mean about this trust between his clients and himself thing? Huh. It seems to be a level of trust beyond what most people, like me, can comprehend. Well, Mr. Wright, are you ready to cross-examine this witness? Yes, Your Honor. There's no way to know what's coming next, so stay cool and collected, Phoenix. About my client. Something I must state. We can hear anything you have to say later. Can you please just tell us your clients? I don't think you understand your place, Mr. Attorney. I said this is something I must first state. Do you know what the word first means? Sorry, go on. It appears this is one witness you can't badger, Mr. Rat. That's only because you don't know about Maya's situation. Nothing's more important than the trust. The trust between you and your client. I provide my services in a fast and efficient manner. In exchange, I trust that my clients are discreet about me and my identity. If too many people knew my face, it would be quite troublesome. And that's why you're testifying in this manner. This is the first time one of my clients has ever been accused of murder. I must preserve the killer name so my clients can trust me. But couldn't someone stab you in the back and break your trust? It has never happened before. But if it ever did... Yes? That person wouldn't be my client for very long. They would certainly... That's enough, please no more. Very well, it was only a hypothetical anyway. This is the reason I'm here. That seems a little strange to me. I mean, you're about to tell us the name of your client. I would think that this would be very bad for them. Doesn't matter to me. This client has already broken the rules and acted outside of their prescribed role. Their role? This person tried to implicate another of the crime in order to save themselves. And this is a trespass that cannot be forgiven. Who gave you the right to be so high and mighty? To the gentleman who spoke just now? Excuse me, but would you care to die? No, I didn't say anything. The judge had better watch himself. You grasp the concept before I give you the name. We understand, so tell us the name. I'm afraid I cannot do that. I still have a few things to say before I do. It's not good for your health to be so aggravated. You won't live very long if you let everything bother you. Somehow that coming from an assassin makes it less than comforting. I don't really care about all the extra fluff, just tell us the name. Patience. It's important to calm down and try to understand the mindset. He seems very steadfast and close, so you're going to have to work him to get him to talk. I'm not his therapist, you know. Something I must first state. I've already done it. Shit. Don't really care about all the fluff, blah 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 blah. Did I not hold something right? Did I miss something? Oh. Shit. Trust between a client. Yeah, man, but like they broke the trust. Ah, shit, that's bad. What happened? I have no trust relation with a client who can't understand their assigned role. Just my luck, an assassin of a conscience. Now then, everyone, do you think you can understand my logic? This case just keeps getting better and better. If you can't, then I'm afraid we can't proceed. Everyone understands your point, really. In that case, I believe I'm prepared to disclose the information you seek. You've made it crystal clear that you value your trust over all else. I believe we're ready. Excellent. That's the reason I'm here today, as a witness statement. Now then, I believe it's time I revealed the name of my client, don't you agree? What is it? Now I can't bring myself to ask her name. If you can't ask it, Mr. Wright, then I will. Witness. What is the name of your client who requested the murder of Mr. Juan Corrida? That person's name is... Adrian Andrews. What? Witness. That's not who you told me it was earlier. Pray tell, what are you talking about, Mr. Prosecutor? I should think I know my own client, and it is Adrian Andrews. What? This can't be. On the phone earlier. What's going on here? My guess is that Mr. the Killer just stabbed Mr. Edgeworth in the back. Stabbed him in the back? I'm sure in order to get an audience with the court, Mr. the Killer told him a different name. Avant-garde, perhaps? I knew it. This is outrageous. I was deceived. This witness is telling a very serious lie. But you were the one who summoned this witness. Shelly the killer. My testimony is the truth. The defendant at the moment is Matt on guard, am I correct? All I wish to do is help procure his acquittal. Wow, all of a sudden it feels like we can actually win this. Yeah. The prosecution has failed to provide a motive and has instead provided a suicide note, which is a forgery created by the victim. Furthermore, there is a possibility the defendant himself knew it was a fake. But most definitive of all, we have heard from the assassin himself the name of his client. Mr. the Killer's client, who requested the murder, was not the defendant at all. No. With all this evidence, it is obvious to me that this means that Matt on guard is innocent. I seem to have caused you all a bit of confusion. Please, continue your discussion and call me when you have reached a verdict. Bailiff, please bring Miss Adrian Andrews in immediately. What now? With the way this is going on, guard will be found innocent. This may be our last chance to save Maya. Yeah, but Mr. Edgeworth is right. The killer is lying. And on guard, my client, I know he's guilty. Can I live with myself if I win this? You would have believed that the prosecution's own witness would absolve the defendant. Your Honor, the prosecution requests permission to further question the witness. Shelley the killer is certainly lying under oath. It wasn't me. It wasn't me. Listen, everyone, please. The testimony just now. It was all one big lie. Miss Andrews, the suicide note may have been a fake, but that man, Matt, he's the reason Celeste died. And Juan's death, it was all because he got pulled into Matt's twisted world. That testimony just now, you have to believe me, was a horrible, horrible lie. But Mr. the Killer himself has testified. He's named you as his client. No, that's not true. So there is quite a bit of evidence that points to you. The knife and button donning the nickel samurai costume. But that... You even have a motive. We know that Miss Celeste impacts is a large part of your life. You wanted to follow her, and you wanted revenge against the two who hurt her. I'd say you have plenty of reasons to want them both dead. Mr. Wright. You know the truth. Tell them. Tell them the real story. Who the real killer is. Please, help me. I know the truth. Mr. Wright. Yes, Your Honor. I believe we have reached the end of this trial. Therefore, I ask the defense for any final words or opinions. I have to decide. Do I take the not guilty verdict and save Maya, or do I throw this chance away and wait for Gumshoe's new evidence? What am I supposed to do? Yeah, trial must continue. Phoenix. I can't do it, Mia. I can't accept the not guilty. You're a lawyer. I know, but he's a murderer. I can't do that. If I let her be convicted, then I'm no better than on guard. And even though I don't want to admit it, I have to face that fact. And it's because of Edgeworth that I now know the real truth. He could have gotten on guard convicted so many times over, but he never took a single one of those chances. If I take the verdict, I'd be betraying his trust. His trust? I never thought about it until now. I trust him. Yeah, you do. Stop reading my thoughts! Mr. Wright, your opinion, please. The defense requests that we be allowed to further question Mr. the Killer. Am I hearing you correctly, Mr. Wright? Right? But that witness has cleared your client through his testimony. Your job here is done. I'm not done yet. To see through witnesses' lies and find the truth. That's my job, Your Honor. There's still more evidence to look at, and I'm sure that once those pieces arrive, in this very courtroom a miracle will occur. Very well, the trial will continue. Mr. Edgeworth, please re-establish connection with Mr. the Killer. Right away, Your Honor. Has a verdict been reached? Before that, we would like to talk with you a little more. About? All you needed from me was the name of my client. What else could you need me for? Well, actually, we would like to hear everything you know about this case. That's how things are usually done. What's he talking about usually done? But what shall we have him testify about now? Mr. the Killer, if you don't mind, please testify about your client in more detail. You legal people and your procedures. Is it any wonder no one likes to go to court? As I have already stated quite a few times, Adrian Andrews is my client. However, one thing I simply cannot overlook is tampering with the scene of the crime. My client did it to frame another for the crime, while pretending to be the first person to discover the body and enter the scene. Adrian Andrews already knew from the very beginning that Juan Carrita was dead. But even more appalling is the creation planting of the knife and button. That act is what I was referring to when I said my client had broken the rules. Most unexpected turn of events, for the 5th time. However, this time everything has finally been revealed. Just a second, Your Honor. Yes, Mr. Edgeworth? We still have the cross-examination to do. But you don't need to question testimony like this. Do you, Mr. Rat? Your Honor, the defense will question the witness, as if I have a choice. Why? What this witness has said is nothing but beneficial to the defense's case. If you scrutinize the testimony, then it all exposed the lies in that so beneficial testimony. I don't understand what's going on anymore. That makes 2 of us. Adrian Andrews' client. What is it, Mr. Rat? If I press him the wrong way, it might raise suspicions on his end. But I have to do something to waste more time. Witness, about requesting a hit. Yes? How much is your fee? I see you are also quite a dark-hearted man, Mr. Attorney. Huh? If you would like to talk business, we can do so after the trial. No. I'm not thinking— Mr. Rat. Yes? You wanna kill me. You want me dead, don't you? What? Why would you think so? Guilty, Mr. Phoenix Rat. You are hereby declared guilty. Witness, let's continue. Why'd you disclose the name of your client? Tampering. I would think that most people wouldn't be able to overlook a person hiring another to kill. If I had a problem with such a thing, I wouldn't be very effective at my job. Yeah. However, I will say this. Even though I am the one that does the deed, my clients are always the real guilty party. That goes without saying, Mr. the Killer. And their fate is to live with the knowledge of their guilt on their shoulders. However, my client this time thought they could run away from their guilt. Are you talking about the button and the knife? Yes, and my business card. Oh, this card. So that no one has to waste their time, including the police. I always make it a point to make things as easy as possible. Try to make things easy. My business card makes it very easy to identify who carried out the service. He's pretty devoted. But to disregard everything, to go and stab the deceased with a knife, and even hide my card from sight, that's something I cannot overlook. It's really hard to tell if he's being truthful or not without him being here. What do you mean it's a perfectly expressive transceiver? So you're saying most clients wouldn't do such a thing? That's correct. Usually most people try to create an alibi for themselves. If you should use my services, Mr. Attorney, I would suggest you plan for your alibi too. I already told you I have no intention of using your services. Why does he keep looking at me like I'm the one on trial? Adrian Anders already knew that Juan Carita was dead. From the very beginning? That is correct. From before my client visited the room. All of my clients know precisely what the situation is at all times. I wonder if that's really true. That's odd. Eh? Even more appalling is the creation of planting. So why do you think your client did that? What do you mean by why? Well, fiddling around at the scene of the crime is pretty risky. And why would someone who has requested a murder go to the crime scene anyway? That is true. I assume it was probably done to frame Mr. On Guard. If that's the case, then why didn't that person just request that you do it? Sadly, that is not possible. Huh? My job is to kill, that's all, and to leave my business card, naturally. The business card is so my clients may escape blame. To protect them is my duty. Even if they say it's for revenge, setting someone else up to take your fall. That act is what I was referring to when it says broke the rules. And that's all you have to testify. Yes, and I pray that I will never be called to the stand again. Again, as in you plan to continue? I must, for as I have yet to find a person to take my place and become the fourth successor. Actually, how would you like a new life, Mr. Attorney? Excusez-moi. No. I'm fine, really. Are you really now? What kind of man the judge thinks he is? I wonder what kind of man the judge thinks I am. What are you gonna do now, Phoenix? All I can do now is expose the lies. That's true. However, you realize that will be very bad for our client, right? Yeah, but the one thing I know for sure is I can't let this trial end. I already knew that they were dead from the beginning. This is the one that got the reaction. And it says, and her testimony in court was that this was for him because she didn't realize he was dead yet. Which, I guess if that is problematic, then it becomes testimony versus testimony. He said, she said. Thank you so much for taking the time to testify, Mr. the Killer. What is the meaning of that attitude? When Adrian Andrews entered the victim's room, your client had no idea that Juan Carita had been murdered. But how do you know that? From this wine glass, Your Honor. The glass. Mr. the Killer's supposed client thought Mr. Carita had only fainted. Which is why this glass of tomato juice was poured for the victim. But isn't that just a part of Adrian Andrews' calculated plan? That is not possible, Your Honor. This glass bears the fingerprints of that person. Had this been planned, they would never have left their fingerprints behind. I see your point. Edgeworth, what's your opinion? Strangely enough, I had the same exact thought. Witness, how do you explain this strange phenomenon? Isn't it a waste of time to ask about such a minor detail? It's not a very important point anyway, correct? I'm afraid you're mistaken. If Adrian Andrews really is your client, as you claim, then your client should have had knowledge of Mr. Carita's death. If not, then that can only mean that Adrian Andrews is never your client at all. How strange. Yes? Why is it that the attorney has yet to raise an objection at this absurd situation? Phoenix, if the killer figures out what we're up to, then we're in real trouble. I know. Mr. Edgeworth, I'm surprised. You know you can't say things like that without any evidence. Ah, sorry. Well, that was awfully weak. Well, that was an awfully weak objection for the two of you. Anyway, I'm positive there was a contradiction in that testimony. I'm positive there was a contradiction in that testimony. The prosecution requests another further testimony concerning when the request was taken. Very well. Right now I have to buy us more time. While I wait for the items Mr. Killer left behind to get here. I just know that the very outcome of this trial lies with those things. This request came to me about a week ago. There was a request for my services on the night of the award ceremony. We met at a certain bar to discuss and finalize a few matters. That is what occurred. I trust my memory and I believe I made no mistakes. So you physically met your client, huh? That is correct. Meeting one's client is the first step to building trust, in my opinion. I see. Well, Mr. Rat, your cross-examination, please. Came about a week ago. 1 week ago? You sure? Yes, I am quite sure. I, of course, had my own preparations, and I was barely able to finish. When you request my services, Mr. Attorney, I hope you will keep that in mind. Please stop. In any case, my client this time had a very specific date and time in mind. Specific date and time, eh? Did you ask why on that specific night? No. I tried to fulfill all the conditions of my client's request. But as for why, I only had my suspicions. Your suspicions, eh? Press further. So what are these suspicions you had? Why did your client request that night? I'm sure it was all for the bear. The bear? My client spoke of it. I'm sure there will be a bear-shaped figurine in Juan Corrida's room. I would like you to retrieve that item for me. You must be talking about this bear puzzle. Inside that figurine was a suicide note. Naturally, the victim brought it with him to his hotel room. He was planning to publicly disclose its contents at the press conference, after all. That is correct. If I had not done the job that night, I would not have known where that bear figurine was. I see. Well, Mr. Rat, was the testimony just now of any importance? Very importante. The testimony just now has made one thing clear. And that is... the client knew the secret of the bear figurine. Huh? Why is everyone so quiet? Mr. Rat, I think all of us already knew that. Really? Witness, continue with your testimony. Met at a bar to discuss. So you physically met Adrian Andrews, right? Of course I did. What was that? What was the brief pause? Press. Witness, I would like for you to give us a few more details. I always meet my clients as a matter of principle. I've never taken a request by telephone or mail. And why is that? That's because I value the trust between a client and myself, though above all else. And the only way to establish that is to speak to the client while looking them in the eye. Well, Mr. Rat, was the testimony just now of any importance? Very importanto. Of course it was very important, Your Honor. If Mr. the Killer had met his client before the murder, then it's unlikely he's mistaken. So you're saying that his client really was Adrian Andrews? Ah, I guess so. You see, it's just as I said. I'm lost. What the heck am I supposed to be who am I helping here? Calm down, think carefully and relax. Now then, would the witness please continue? That is what has occurred. I trust my memory. I've made no mistakes. So your client was Adrian Andrews. That is correct. He says the two of them met. But if they did, then there shouldn't be anything wrong with the killer's testimony. There doesn't seem to be anything strange this time around. Draw more information. We met at a bar? Physically met? Of course I did. What was the pause? I thought I pressed further before. Press further. Witness, I would like for you to give us more details. I always meet them. Why is that? because I value the trust. Only way to establish that, looking them in the eye. Boy and potato. Nope, wrong button. You physically met Adrian Andrews. Press further. Give more details. Not muy importante. Why he meets his client isn't important, and that wasn't the point. Witness, please stop sidestepping my questions. What do you mean by that? My question was, did you really meet Adrian Andrews in person? I've already told you, Mr. Wright, I did. It was only through talking with him face to face that I began to trust him. That's when I thought I can trust this person as a client. It's true what they say about talking face to face. Well, Mr. Rat, was that testimony just now of any importance? This one was. If I heard what I think I heard, then I think I got him. Your Honor, I believe the testimony just now was of the utmost importance. Really? If that's the case... Witness, please include the statement just now in your testimony. Very well. From the moment I saw him, I thought I can trust this person as a client. But as we know, that wasn't how it turned out, right? What do you mean? Adrian Andrews turned out to be a client who couldn't stick to the rules, right? Well, yes. I suppose you are correct. So I would like to check one last time. Are you sure your testimony is accurate? But the problem here is Miss Adrian Andrews. I would like to go over this one more time. You met Adrian Andrews at a bar and took the request at that time? Yes, that is correct. And that's when you thought he was trustworthy? How many times do I need to repeat myself? Yes, that is correct. I'm sorry, but that's impossible. What? Shelley the killer? You have never met the real Adrian Andrews. Why would you say that? Because you made one very big slip-up about her. So what is the issue? What did you say just now? About her? If you'd ever met Adrian Andrews in person, one look would have told you that she's a woman. Order. Mr. Rat, what's the meaning of this? This witness testified to the following, that he always meets face-to-face with his clients when taking their request. But he's never met Adrian Andrews in person. Yes, Your Honor, that is exactly the point. That means Mr. the Killer's client could not have been Miss Adrian Andrews. Ew, he's all oily. Mr. Edgeworth, I understand your logic on this one. However, why would the assassin make such a basic mistake? I believe it has to do with her name, Your Honor. Her name? Yes, Adrian Andrews is without a doubt a very androgynous name. I see. Unluckily for Mr. the Killer, the entire time he was on the stand, no one had stated Adrian Andrews' gender. And so, he simply picked the wrong gender to go with. What? What's going on? Shelley the Killer, this court demands an explanation. I think somehow I must have mixed up this client with another. So does that mean you remember something different now? Yes, of course. Please, if you would allow me to testify once more. I know, he's just gonna spit out more lies. Very well, but this time please give us the truth and nothing but the truth. Now I remember I took that request by mail. There have been times when I took a job without having met my client. The request was for the murder of Juan Kurita and 2 or 3 other small things. When I saw the name at the end of the letter, I thought of my client to be a man. So you took this job through a letter. He didn't mention anything about a letter in his earlier testimony, which means he is definitely lying. Be careful, Phoenix. If you break the assassin's testimony completely, it's over for us. Can't make him suspicious, but I think we're okay. Like, we can do this. As long as he's standing there across from me, no matter how strong of a punch I throw, he'll counter it. Now then, let's begin the cross-examination. I took that request by mail. But didn't you just say that you always meet your clients? I suppose I did. However, there are some clients for whom a meeting is simply not possible. But didn't you meet your client this time? I did not. Oh, come on now, let's stop with this game of cat and mouse. Using your silkiest voice is not going to work on me. Alright, then just cough it up and confess. Mr. Wright, you can't badger a witness with such harsh words. You're a lawyer, so behave like one and present evidence instead of mindlessly yelling. Now then, do you have any proof that Mr. Dick Killer met with his client? Nope. I'm sorry, unfortunately I do not. I see. Then your line of questioning was just another waste of time. Sadly for us, Your Honor, that is the nature of Mr. Right and Wrong. There have been times he's taken the job without meeting. And why could you not meet them? Recently, I have been receiving more requests. If I met each and every client, I would lose some nice business opportunities. Nice business opportunities? On top of which, the times have changed. It is now the age of information and computers, correct? Well, I have joined the times and now take requests via electronic mail. Electronic mail? You have to mail that in a special insulated envelope? I'm sorry. I despise the shortening of words. What I meant by electronic mail is what's commonly referred to as email. Email? In a contest of mimicry, the judge would beat a parrot, hands down. Anyway, so you took this job without having met your client, and... murder of Juan and 2 or 3 other small things. 2 or 3 other things? Yes. And what were these other things? A few other things that have nothing to do with this case. What should I do? Let him slide with that? It'd be really bad if I pushed his buttons the wrong way and he got mad. I'm gonna do it anyway. Press. Whether or not they're related to this case is for the court to decide. Mr. Attorney. Yes? Everything I have said from the beginning has been nothing but beneficial to your client. Which is why I wonder what is pushing you to continue with this cross-examination. Could it be that you're planning to betray your own client? I smell the stench of a backstabber. And should you turn out to be one? Wait. Uh-oh. This is looking really bad. I shouldn't press my luck. Alright, I have to think. Is this worth pursuing? Press further. Witness, this is a very important matter. Please cooperate and tell us what these other jobs your client requested were. If it's truly that important, I suppose I don't have much of a choice. The bear figurine. The bear figurine? After the assassination of the target, I was to find that figurine. I was told that this job was just as important as the actual killing. And where was it? It was inside Mr. Kurita's suitcase. Then what did you do next? I handed it over to my client right away. You gave it to your client. Interesting. This information certainly sounds important to me. Witness, please include what you just said dated in your testimony. As you wish. When it was to find the bear figurine, give it to Adrian Andrews. I found this figurine at Mr. Onguard's mansion. If you gave it to Miss Andrews, then what was it doing there? I was waiting for her there. That was also a part of the plan to frame Mr. Onguard, I'm sure. That makes a lot of sense. Well, Mr. Rat, do you have any problems with this piece of testimony? I think his words. We don't have any evidence against them. No use, as long as I can't put my finger on the central problem here. Pressing the witness would be very dangerous. It appears that Mr. Rat has no problems. Witness, please continue. Find the bear figurine and give it to Adrian. Down. Shelley the killer. If you had really given the bear to Miss Andrews, she wouldn't have needed to look for it. Then this item should not have been found inside. This item? I see where you're going. Yep, that's where I'm going. Where is everybody going? Do I need to pack a suitcase? Your Honor, please think back to Miss Andrews' testimony, so I'm not going to Fiji. And I was going to burn it, for her sake. If even for a single minute this bear had actually been in Miss Andrews' hands, I'm sure she would have taken the suicide note out and burned it. Order. So that's where you two were going. So by the very fact that this note's still inside, it tells us that your client didn't know how to disassemble the puzzle. Which means... It means, Your Honor, that it is impossible for Adrian Andrews to be the client. Order. Mr. Phoenix, right? I'm sure I mentioned this before. How I hate traitors above all else. I think your cross-examination has clearly demonstrated something to me. You must wish to break your end of our agreement. No, that's not. That's enough. If that is your intention, then there's only one thing for me to do. Wait, please. Gentlemen, ladies. Please excuse me. I have a matter that I must attend to. No, please. Not that, please wait. Mr. Attorney, bring this trial to a speedy end, and I may stay my hand. Otherwise... Rah. What the... Mr. Rat, are you... Mr. Edgeworth? Yes, Your Honor. I didn't understand this witness's outburst just now. Do you think there is a need to hear more testimony, or is this enough? Well, we should. Edgeworth, we can't do this. If we keep this up, Maya. The prosecution... What has come over everyone? Even you are. The prosecution... rests. What is going on around here? The prosecution has no further questions, Your Honor. What? Well, I never thought I'd see the day. This is a most unusual situation. If the prosecution rests with no further questions, then the prosecution has failed to uphold its stance. If that is the case, then even though I am reluctant, I must believe that Mr. the Killer's testimony is accurate. That would mean that Shelley the Killer's client is Adrian Andrews. Mr. Rat? Yes, Your Honor? If I end the trial here right now, then your client, Matt Onguard, will be declared innocent. And in his place, Adrian Andrews will be charged with murder. Is Andrews be charged with murder? Prosecution has no has no further questions, so we will now hear the defense's final remarks. Bailiff, please bring the defendant Matt Ongar to the stand. The items from the killer's hideout didn't make it in time. We tried as hard as we could, but it looks like our time has run out. Can't believe it. The outcome now lies in your hands. What's that supposed to mean? Did the old guy finally decide? To be honest, I can't think of you as a truly innocent and good person. You have done enough evil to drive a woman to suicide. But, at least on the charge of murder, it would appear you are innocent. So, I guess even the old fuddy-duddy figured me out. Mr. Ongar? What an atrocious lawyer I have, giving his own client up like this. And that refreshing like a spring breeze crap, it's just as atrocious, don't you agree? Anyway, get on with it and pronounce me innocent already. Right, Mr. Lawyer? Should I side with justice or should I save Maya's life? You better get Ongar a guilty sentence, okay? Okay. But if I did that, Maya's gonna die. But if I say he's innocent, then Miss Andrews will be charged as the murderer. If I say he's guilty or not guilty, either choice I make, someone's life is going to end. It all hinges on what I choose. Now then, Mr. Rat, let's hear the defense's final statements on this matter. If the person who hired the assassin was Adrian Andrews, then your client, Mr. Matt Ongar, is innocent. There's no need to ask, old man. After all, my lawyer is going to say what I want. Aren't you? Right. Can't do this. But I have to decide something. Can't count on the evidence to help me anymore. I have to listen to my heart. My client, Matt Ongar, is guilty. Blaze of glory, Maya. Blaze of glory. Go down fighting. You can eat burgers in hell. We are awaiting your answer, Mr. Rat. Matt Ongar, your client deserves an answer. Maya. I'm sorry. Matt Ongar is... Nice to see you. Stop whipping me. Francisca von Karma. What are you doing? Ow! You see now, don't you, Mr. Phoenix, right? This is exactly why you should never take your eyes off of that scruffy fool. Did you bring them? The final pieces? Do you have them? You should know better than to ask for that, Mr. Miles Edgeworth. Von Karma is perfect in every way. The evidence is here in perfect condition. Don't worry about Scruffy. He's fine, and his injuries are minor. All the items are inside of this. What a filthy old coat this is. That's Gumshoe's filthy old coat. I apologize for its ugliness, but there was nothing else to wrap the items in. I fought long and hard this whole trial. All for what is inside that coat. I'm sure that inside of that lies a crucial piece of evidence. Your Honor, inside of that filthy coat are the defense's final pieces of evidence. Your final evidence? This trial is already over, but all that remains is for me to hand down my verdict. I do not believe that any evidence presented now would change the outcome of this trial. What? Your Honor, it is our duty to examine every piece of evidence, down to the last. I request that Miss Von Karma be allowed to present these pieces of evidence. I suppose you're right, Mr. Edgeworth. I grant permission to do so. However, this one obvious rule applies here. If these items do not bring up any new points, then they will not be accepted by this court. Now, Miss Von Karma, if you please. These pieces of evidence are items left by the killer during his escape from the police. It must have been quite a rush. Yes, Your Honor. The killer left 3 pieces of evidence. Somewhere among the evidence we're about to see, there'll be something that'll turn this whole situation around. I'm sure of it. That's all we can hope for. Oh, the first item is a pistol. Does the killer's pistol have anything to do with this case? Well, let's give more details, why not? Does that pistol have any relation to the case? We have yet to perform a ballistics test, so I cannot say for certain. However, I believe it has something to do with this case, at least with me. It shot you? That's the pistol we used to shoot you, isn't it? That's what I believe, yes. Oh. I kept the bullet they removed from my shoulder as a sort of memento. I'm sure it would be an excellent sample for the test. So that's the pistol that was used to shoot Francisca. It's probably not going to help us very much. At least he used a small caliber on you. The second piece of evidence is his videotape. More details. Have you checked the contents of it? Unfortunately, there was no time to. Oh yeah. But I would speculate that this tape is very important. My bad. Why would you say that? Because he came back to his hideout for it. The killer went back for it. That's right. It looks like he was trying to recover it. He injured 3 of the officers at the site. But somehow it looks like they managed to protect it from the killer. Surely the killer is no ordinary man. The last piece of evidence is the Spellboy's uniform. Is that a uniform? More details. Was that used during the crime? I am certain it was. There's evidence a pair of black leather gloves is in one of the pockets. There's no doubt about it, the killer was wearing this on the night of the murder. There is one thing I found interesting about this uniform. And what's that? There is a button missing on the uniform. A button? It is a very unique button. I'm sure if we were to recover it, it would provide us with an interesting clue. Bellboy uniform. That is all I have to present, Your Honor. It's just as I thought. And what is that, Your Honor? I'm sure were we under normal circumstances, these items from Shelley the Killer's hideout would be very important clues. However, our question is not who did the killing. It is who is the client. Yes, that is correct. And these 3 items do not tell us anything about that. Thank you for your hard work, Miss Von Karma. You may step down now. Wait, Your Honor. Please allow me to examine this new evidence. Overruled. This court already has all the evidence it needs to hand down a verdict. Wonderful. Absolutely splendid. This judge is such a brilliant man, isn't he? Is this the end? Phoenix? You know there's no such thing as a miracle in this world, is there? I think you're wrong. I think they do exist. I am a corpse inhabiting the body of a 5-year-old. But you have to make that miracle happen. You've come this far. You can't give up now. But no matter how you think about it, it's... Try, for my sake. Just think about it for a second. There are 2 ways out of this situation for us. 2? The first... Make Enguarde wish from the bottom of his very soul for a guilty verdict. Huh? The killer will always place his client's wishes first. If Enguarde himself wishes to be convicted, then he will let his hostage go. That may be true, but that's asking me to do the impossible. The second way... Force the killer to end his contract with Enguarde. If the killer were to no longer think of Enguarde as his client, then he would let Maya go. Yeah, that's even more impossible. He's a man who values his duty towards his clients above all else. I know both of these seem like impossible feats at first, but if you could make either one happen, it would truly be a miracle. The bigger problem is, the judge has already said he doesn't need any more evidence. The pieces he was just shown, he's not accepting them. Phoenix? Think things through from the other side. Isn't that what has always worked for us? The other side? Does she mean... You mean to turn things around? Phoenix, the judge says he doesn't need the evidence. If that's the case, then who does? The person who needs the evidence. The defense, prosecution, and judge, we have all seen the pieces of evidence. And that is how we have come to know the truth. But there is one person who has yet to see them all. And that person does not know the truth. That truth, it may be what will bring about the miracle in the end. There are no objections this time, correct? Now then, I will pronounce my verdict. Why don't we all respectfully sit back and listen, kids? We need to see what's on that tape. I have already told you, Mr. Wright, this court does not need any more evidence. I'm not saying it is us that needs the evidence, Your Honor. Then you want to show the evidence to that person? Yes, Your Honor. Please, Your Honor? Mr. Wright, for you to ask with such passion, I will grant you one chance. One, show your evidence on who you think the right person is. That's impossible to turn the situation around in one try. One, that is all I will permit. Yeah, you gotta try to remember everything that has happened up to this point. Think. There must be a way to save Maya while taking On Guard down at the same time. Now then, Mr. Wright, let's not waste any more time. Who would you like to show evidence to? Show it to me. What do we got? A big part of this is all the recording equipment, right? Like, the entire point of it being there actually was On Guard. And he planned on using that to blackmail the killer, right? So maybe they want to look at something? I don't know, the music didn't change. Oh no. I see. And now tell us, this court, what piece of evidence you would like to show them. The tape. Well, what do you think, Mr. Edgeworth? I think there is some merit in showing this evidence to that witness. Bailiff, please bring in the transceiver from earlier. Looks like I managed to convince him. Maya, she's okay, right? Didn't I tell you to concern yourself with bringing about a speedy end to this trial? Now, if I understand correctly, you wish to show me a piece of evidence? Yes, one's all I need. I have here a videotape, found at your hideout. I heard you injured 3 officers in your attempt to get this back. That was most regrettable. However, it was an order from my client. I was told to protect that videotape. I thought so. I'm afraid I seem to have failed in that regard. You know the contents of the tape. I was sternly told by my client to not watch it. So I have absolutely no idea. Actually, you're on this tape. Me? There was a video camera hidden at the crime scene. Your actions were being recorded. What? Is this true, Mr. Rat? Who was it that planted the camera? Well, the only person who could have placed a camera at the scene of the crime would be your client, naturally. That was Adrian Andrews. Be quiet and listen, Your Honor. Yes, sir. Your client specified a time and place, right? Yes. That was so they could film you. I had no idea. Mr. Wright, why would my client do such a thing? I would like to know why. Why did he film the crime scene? The reason why he did it is my ticket out of this whole mess. There is only one reason why your client would secretly film the crime scene. They wanted to blackmail you. Your client once told me something very interesting. They were talking about you, and this is what they said. But I'm no weakling. I don't believe anyone, least of all assassins. Oh, come now, Mr. Wright. Assassins aren't above blackmail. Yes, that's where the video comes in. With that, I can keep him at bay and even blackmail him if I want. Your client didn't trust you at all. They were thinking of using this video to blackmail you. What do you have to say to that, Shelly the Killer? It looks like I was being deceived from the very beginning. Yes, by a natural. That's the kind of person they are. Your client is a person who only thinks and plots of how to use the people around them to protect themselves from any and all dangers that may arise. That's the true nature of your client. I have one question for the witness. Yes. You told us one thing numerous times during your testimony. You said that you detest traitors most of all. And that is correct. But what if that traitor was your own client? What would you do then? That's obvious. I would break our contract in that case. And then that client would become my next target. For the honor of the killer name, even if it takes an eternity, I would follow that person to the end of the earth to exact my punishment. I see. That's all I wanted to know. So the traitor becomes the killer's next target. Get it. This is how we'll turn his case around. Mr. Wright? Yes? My contract with my client is over. As of now. I seem to have a new job on my hands. I will now return to you your precious item. What the? I'm not an item. Maya. Thought I'd never see you again. Oh, thank goodness. Hooray, we saved Maya. This trial appears to have come to its conclusion. However, I'm sorta... I don't know what just happened there with the client and the witness. Miss Von Karma, where... She always has you in her sights. Now, I do believe it's time to finally hand down a verdict. Mr. On Guard, it looks like somehow you got what you wanted. You will finally receive the Aquila you wanted so badly, you should be happy. But before that, I would like to make one final statement. Sometime in the near future, one very betrayed assassin may appear before you. Needless to say, that man is very good at what he does. I'm sure you would understand what I mean if you watched the video. Help me. Now then, Your Honor, the verdict if you please. Is this alright with you, Mr. Rat? We have finally reached the end of a very long battle. Whether he's convicted or acquitted, there is no escape for him now. Go on, Phoenix. Lead whichever way your heart tells you. Right, Chief. Matt on guard. Even though I am a lawyer, I cannot make your crime disappear. I think a guilty verdict is appropriate here. Me? My wonderful self. Guilty. Even if you got an acquittal, the instant you set foot outside the detention center, your life would be in danger. No matter which way you look at it, you can't run away from your crime anymore. No, guilty, 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 guilty. Ow. That looked like it hurt. As always, it looks like we have uncovered the real truth. We? I don't remember you helping out much in this. Mr. Edgeworth, how is Matt on guard? I have left Miss Von Karma in charge of his incarceration. I'm sure he's getting a full-course meal of whip leather right about now. Very good. That was a close one, wasn't it, witness? Yes. I plan to pay my debt to society for my own crime, Your Honor. The first time I was called to the witness stand during this trial, all I felt was despair. She must be talking about the time Edgeworth really went after her. I guess she's trying to forgive him for what he did. This witness, how should I put this? She has an illness. If you're going to say you would choose death, that's of no concern to me. But after that, when I was alone at the detention center, that's the first time I really saw myself for who I am. And today, when the two of you used your combined strength to convict Matt, I felt like I'd finally been saved. Wow, that's the first time I've ever seen her smile. I'm really happy that you two were in charge of this case. I really don't know how to express how I feel at this moment. This is the first time I felt comfortable with myself, with who I am. Thank you so much, everyone. It looks like we have resolved everything at last. As for myself, there are still a few things I'm confused about, but everyone seems to be in good spirits, and that's good enough for me. That is all, and this court is adjourned. You were great out there, Phoenix. What I did out there was right, wasn't it? This is the first time you've not gotten your client off. Got him a guilty verdict this time. But you have to look past all that to what's really important. You now realize that there's something more than just getting a not guilty, right? Yeah? Phoenix, think back for a second. Think to the moments before Miss Von Karma arrived at that final piece of evidence. Think about the incredible decision you had to make. Now then, Mr. Rat. Let's hear the defense's final statements on this matter. Can't count on the evidence to help me. I have to listen to my heart. My client, Matt on guard, is... Whip. Is he guilty, or is he not guilty? Those were your choices then, and your answer. Your answer spoke to what being a lawyer means to you. Right. Edgeworth? I have good news. Maya is now safe in police custody. Really? Pearls, you're telling us the truth, right, Mr. Edgeworth? Yes, she's quite safe. She's on her way here as we speak in a patrol car. Mystic Maya, she's safe. You did it. You really did it, Mr. Nick. Ow. Why does she punch so hard? I believed in you. I kept saying to myself, Mr. Nickelsaver. Mr. Nickelsaver. Thanks. Oh, what's wrong? Miss Von Karma. About earlier? Thanks. Why? Why are you still smiling, Mr. Phoenix Wright? You lost. Your perfect win record has now been crushed. And yet, you are still happy? You are still happy? I don't think you'll ever quite understand, Miss Von Karma. How dare you? Don't worry. She may in time. After all, I was like that myself until a year ago. Edgeworth? For my own personal victories and for guilty verdicts. I used every dirty trick in the book, and so my win record remained spotless. But a man appeared and stood fast against that selfish me. I fought him in my usual manner and tasted my first defeat. Felt like I had lost everything because of that. And then it was my turn to sit in the defendant's chair. And I was saved by that person I called my enemy. I couldn't forgive myself for all that had happened, so I left the prosecutor's office. And I left that note. Prosecutor Miles Edgeworth chooses death. As well you should have. A prosecutor who has shamed himself with defeat should crawl into a hole and die. But that was not what happened. After I left the prosecutor's office, I finally came to realize something. And it was in that moment of clarity that everything began to change. What foolish nonsense. We prosecutors use anything we can to attack the defendant. But every time we did so, no matter how desperate the situation, instead of giving up like most people, that man would hold strong with his undying faith. And then before I knew it, I began to trust in that man as well. What? You trusted your enemy? It doesn't matter how many underhanded tricks a person uses. The truth will always find a way to make itself known. The only thing we can do is to fight with the knowledge we hold in everything we have. Erasing the paradoxes one by one. It's never easy. We claw and scratch for every inch. But we will always eventually reach that one single truth. This I promise you. The truth? Yes. That's the reason why prosecutors and defense attorneys exist. But I'm sure you knew that already, didn't you, right? That's why you couldn't forgive me, this man who went into hiding. Isn't that so? This man who only had his sights set on victory, who ran away into the night. Is Mr. Edgeworth right, Mr. Nick? You really let me down. When you disappeared, I felt betrayed. The reason I decided to become a lawyer to begin with was because I believed in the things you said to me all those years ago. And you betrayed your own words. That's why, 1 year ago, I made up my mind. I decided that the Miles Edgeworth I knew had died. At least that's what I told myself. You pathetic fool. Miss Von Karma. I don't want to hear the wretched whimpering of a disgraced loser. Von Karma is someone who is destined to be perfect. Miles Edgeworth, you are no longer worthy. You are no longer worthy of being a Von Karma. And neither am I. It's over. It's all over. Francisca drew something on the ground. This is an electromagnetic receiver. Isn't that the thing she used to track Gumshoe? I'll return this to the precinct later. There's something else. Isn't that Miss Von Karma's wit? I'll never set foot in another courtroom again. I'm sure that's what she's saying by this action. You should keep this, right? Sure. Nick. Maya. Mystic Maya. Mystic Maya. Everybody's okay. And Maya needs a burger. Oh, Nick, I knew you would come through. You got on guard convicted like I knew you would, right? And on top of that, you even rescued me. Well, of course I did. You know I would never desert you. But we sure pressed our luck. You're really lucky to be standing here. Whatever, whatever. Look, it's over, okay? Besides, if I did croak, I would just come back and haunt you like a bad ghost through Pearly. Is it really that easy to do something like that? Me, it does it all the fucking time. Thanks a lot, Nick. Don't mention it. Maya. Oh, Mr. Edgeworth. I'm relieved you're alright. Hey, looks like you've made some real progress, Mr. Edgeworth. Well, I suppose I'm a little different from who I was a year ago. Heh. Alright. I think it's time we get out of this depressing place. Huh? Where are we going? Food, Nick, food! Grub, chow, I'm starved. I'm so hungry even you look like a nice juicy burger and a bun to me, Nick. I think I look like a burger. I'm a prime rib at least. Come with us, Mr. Edgeworth. Please? If you insist. Alright, so how about we hit up our usual burger joint? Don't be silly, Nick. Huh? This case messed up that awesome evening and got in the way of my gourmet food. So I've decided that we have to make it up by having another feast. Another feast. Come on, Nick. Food. Gatewater Hotel? Oh god, Gumshoe. You're okay. But your jacket. Hey pal, sorry to keep you guys waiting. Gumshoe, are you okay? Yeah, but I'm really embarrassed. I didn't think I would hit a telephone pole of all things. Telephone pole? Then it wasn't a red light that got him. You did it again, city boy. I felt like my dear old heart was gonna give out on me, and I ain't joking. Yeah, it was more exciting than the very last episode of Steel Samurai. Thanks. Now look at here, Mr. Snooty Prosecutor. Don't you reckon you bullied Mr. Rat too hard? If you don't start being a lot nicer to him, we might just kick it tonight even. I'll keep that in mind. Well, come on now. Everyone gather round. Y'all are gonna get your picture taken by a genuine professional photographer. Looks like Lana bought herself a new camera. Well, pal, at least we can put this messy case behind us now. Come on. Tonight's all about eating, so let's go chow down. Amen to that, pal. Amen. You know, when you think about it, you were the one who saved the day, Detective. Huh? Me? Do you really think so? He's right. If it wasn't for the 3 items he took, I think this trial would have had a very different ending. Well, you know, it's... Huh? Wait. That's odd. When I ran off with the things from the killer's hideout, I was sure I took 4 things in total, sir. Huh? 4? Yeah, I'm sure I put one of the items in my coat pocket. There was a 4th. Come on, it's all over. Oh boy, I tell you, you really are something else. Between getting accused of murder and getting kidnapped, never a dull moment with you, huh? You think? Why'd she look so happy about that? 'Cause it happens all the time. But being shut away for 2 whole days? Weren't you scared? Yeah, it was really scary. Felt so hopeless. So to keep my mind off of things, I drew a picture. Sounds like you had it rough, gal. So where's this picture of yours? Yeah, I want to see it. I want to see Mystic Maya's picture. You know, I don't know where it went. Oh, it's too bad. Well, it's alright. Wasn't anything important anyway. It sure is nice to finally see them both smiling again. Huh? What is it, Edgeworth? This thing is picking something up. That's Miss Oligar, Mr. Seaver. No thanks to her, I had the most awful experience of my life, sir. I can't believe she stuck a tracking device on me. That's odd. Even though you're standing right here, the tracking device seems to be in a different location. Oh, it's probably busted or something, sir. Well, it doesn't matter. I'm afraid it's about time for me to excuse myself. I still have some work to do. Huh? Mr. Edgeworth, you haven't even eaten anything yet. And you've eaten way too much. I had fun tonight. Now, if you'll excuse me. Wait. What? I just want to say... Thanks, Edgeworth. You really saved me out there. If anyone should be saying thanks, it should be me, right? I feel like words alone aren't enough here. I wonder if there's anything I can give him to express how I feel. Jeez. Why the fuck? You want this with... What's this? Thank you. It was all thanks to you two. You and her. You don't need to thank me. I was only doing my job. It looks like Mr. Edgeworth has left, Mr. Nick. Hey, Mystic Maya. Huh? Yeah, Pearly? I guess you two can go back to being lovey-dovey, right? You and Mr. Nick, I mean. Pearly, would you cut it out already? You're embarrassing me. Anyway. So who's paying for this lovely dinner party? As if you need to ask. Everyone say thank you to Nick. Huh? Yeah, I'm kinda at the point where I can't even buy instant noodles, pal. So I kinda already put your name on the bill. Huh? Yeah, I got a situation like that myself. There's this camera shop in this hotel. And I just bought myself this good old beauty here. It better be for anyway for $3,000. Huh? Actually, I reckon you bought it for me since it's on your tab and all. What? Isn't this great, Mr. Nick? Yeah, Nick. Why do I feel like I'm screaming? Oh, you don't need to hold back now, you hear? Yeah, pal, time to let it all out. This is gonna be the first time I hear the real you. Go on, it's been a while since I heard you say it. I've been busy being a hostage and all. Alright then, if you say so. How cute. I feel like the last game had characters with dialogue. Shit, and I gotta go. You really came through for me, Nick. I had to hide that letter, but I knew you'd find it. I really feel like I've been living on the edge lately. I mean, I've escaped death 3 times now. Pretty cool, huh? I feel like a pro. That's such a problem, Maya. It's such a problem. I'm so happy that you could save Mystic Maya, Mr. Nick. And I'm so happy for the two of you. Speaking of which, I think this hotel is a popular place for honeymooners. So I sorta made reservations for the two of you just in case. Pearl. Stop it. Well, pal. Looks like I'm back on the force again. Mr. Edgeworth had a long talk with the chief, and he got me reinstated for my sake. I heard he said things like letting that one go is bad for all of his society. I knew it, crashing headlong into everything's the only way to live, pal. What do you need, Chikamshu? Hi, Maggie Bird. I'm retiring this uniform as of today, sir. I'm going to be a waitress from now on. Bring smiles and joy to the people who come by the restaurant, sir. I hope you'll stop by sometime, Mr. Wright. Okay. I don't remember mentioning of retirement on her, but... Okie dokie. Yeah, you here to visit a patient? Director Hattie. Recently? That girl, I haven't seen her around. But I remember, if I even laid so much of an eye on her, it would go crack. It didn't matter if I got whipped, though. Yeah. I mean, I guess she does kinda engender that. It's time to begin our quest of world circus domination, sweetie. And let the world know we are serious. I plan to make a fabulous flight to Zimbabwe. Hey Max, what do you think Zimbabwe is like? Do you think there are castles made of cake? And bunnies who can talk? No. I think if there are any talking bunnies, even they won't laugh at Moe's jokes. I'm ready. I'm ready. There's no way these jokes are gonna fall on deaf ears. I'm gonna be more contemporary with my humor. Mo Curls represent. We got our new act all worked out. Prepare for the Hallelujah chorus. Say something, will ya? You're supposed to start us off. Get on with it. What is this? Crap, it's just an ordinary electric razor recharging on its stand. Can't believe this. Really, how long do they plan on making me do this? But it's Edgy Poo's idea, so that means it must have a deep hidden meaning. But why do I get the feeling they wouldn't forget about me, would they? I was never like this in the old days. Everyone thought the world of me. They used to call me Queen Wendy and treat me like royalty, and the man who invented it is gonna feel the pain on my heels, they're gonna never feel the burn. And speaking of burn, playing with fire is very dangerous. We gotta restore the scene where we burn down right into cause. I appreciate everything you and Mr. Edgeworth did for me from the bottom of my heart. Oh, that's right. I received a letter from Miss Von Karma. She said that after I get out, I should feel free to consult her about anything at all. I'm really thankful to have met everyone. It's become difficult for me in this country as of late. As such, I will take a short leave of absence. If you would like to request my services, please be sure to visit my homepage. May we both be blessed with longevity. So, like, the killer's like free. That's not okay, right? Where are you going, Franziska? How did you know I was here? With this? That's... I heard you were planting things on a certain person. Things like tracking devices in his coat, for example. That is just like you. I only planted it there because he was always wearing it. This filthy drab coat of his. I don't know how it ended up in my luggage. But it's going in the trash, I promise you that. Oh, that's right. Speaking of that man, he told me something very interesting. When I ran off with the things from the killer's hideout, I was sure I took 4 things in total. 4 things? It seems he put the last one in his coat pocket. He put it in here? It doesn't matter anymore. The case is already over. What are you going to do now? That's none of your business. Are you running away? Shut up. You don't understand a thing. You can't possibly understand what it means to be Manfred von Karma's daughter. Franziska. So many expectations from everyone around me. Expectations I must fulfill. I'm expected to win no matter what. And failure? Such a thing is not an option for me. My father was a genius. There's no doubt about that. But me, I am no genius. I've always known that. But I had to be one. I had to. You may not be a genius like your father, but you are a prosecutor. You have been and always will be. No, I'm not. Not anymore. I've even thrown my VIP away. Speaking of, Wright gave me this to hold on to. Right. You knew something like this would happen, didn't you? I'm going to say this again. We prosecutors do not fight for personal honor or pride. I hope you will think deeply about what you should be striking down with that whip. You haven't changed a bit. You've always left me alone and walked on without me. Miles Edgeworth, I have always hated you. And then, finally, my chance to take revenge on you arrived. If I could win against that man, if I could make Phoenix Wright bow down in defeat, then this gal you left behind would have risen higher than you. That was supposed to be my revenge. I see. You know, I can't do it. I can't change who I am. I can't throw away everything I've been until today. I believe you can. Just like how Adrian Andrews did. Adrian Andrews? You were going to use her during the trial, right? But you were dependent on your father by using his tactics, correct? Today, you chased after me, after I had left you behind all these years. And that's why we're standing here now, side by side. But I have no intention of stopping. If you say you're going to quit your walk down the prosecutor's path, then this is where we part ways, Franziska von Karma. I am Franziska von Karma. I don't think I am going to walk in your shadow forever. Our battle begins now, so you had better prepare yourself, Miles Edgeworth. Phoenix Wright. One day, someday, I'm sure we'll meet again in battle. Until then, this last piece of evidence that never made it to you, I'll take good care of this fourth piece, so I can give it to you. When at last we meet again. I had to figure out who the fuck was talking. Maya's doodle. She took it to kill her card in Alright. I guess that's the end of game 2. Alright, so we have Ace Attorney, Justice for All, and Trials and Tribulations. So we're now on Trials and Tribulations, whenever we decide to do that one. Okay. I hope it's slightly more refined than this, and feels like the ending case of this. Which is probably impossible qualifications. But I'm gonna hope. That said, it'll probably be a bit before we go back into this game. I'm not entirely sure what thing will be next online, as far as solo playthroughs go. We've got the multiplayer ones going. Rogue Trader's gonna be going for the next 8 years at the pace that we're going through that thing. Borderlands 2 is basically over. But I think that they mentioned that they wanted to look at that series more. So, as far as solo things go, I don't know. I feel like I shouldn't pick another novel right away. Because I've noticed that during novels, I don't really have a lot of time to make comments and do my own things. But on that same token, I don't really do that anyway. Like, I'm quiet. I know I am. I feel like the yammer isn't really a thing. So it's mostly just me going, oh, that, or making fun of a bad guy. So that's really the only things I do. Don't know. I'll figure it out later. Regardless, though, I sincerely hope you enjoyed Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney, Justice for All. I know that there were some audio problems, but, you know, programs update. Things happen. But if there wasn't mess, what would be the point, you know? Imperfection is where uniqueness comes in. I sincerely hope you enjoyed. And if you're just going through the series, A, you're a trooper. But thank you. Seriously. The idea of somebody enjoying the shit that I do is what makes me do it. So thank you. And before that goes any further, until whatever happens next, take care. I hope to see you there.